So, humility is not thinking less of yourself, but it's thinking of yourself less often. What's up, y'all? My name is Trevor Went. I'm a visual artist based out of Raleigh, North Carolina, making art to challenge perspectives and give hope to the marginalized and oppressed. And this space right here, Durag Thoughts, is a space for us to do just that. Talk about topics that challenge perspectives and give hope to the marginalized and oppressed. And today I want to start a conversation around the concept of what true humility is, what humility actually is. So let's be real. In American culture, we need humility. We're a superpower that kind of is pretty self-absorbed, or at least that's what the world sees us as. We see ourselves in mass in a lot of ways better than any other country in the world, that we are this prime example of what the world needs to look like. Probably need to take a step down from that and realize that other places have things to offer that we don't. But what we can't do is utilize the spaces where our country needs to exercise and practice humility to misshape what humility actually is. So I want to talk about what humility actually is not off top here. Humility is not low self-esteem. Humility is not about not acknowledging the ways that you've been gifted or the talents that you have. It is about thinking about others more often than you think about yourself. You think about the Apostle Paul in the New Testament if you're a Christian. If you're not a Christian, there's a book where there is a thing called the New Testament. It's the second half of the Bible, which is more of the time after Jesus's coming and then the things that happen after that. And in the New Testament, we see this guy named Paul, who is a apostle or a major church leader. He wrote most of the New Testament, and he talks about this concept that we need to count others more significant than ourselves. And so that is what humility is: counting others more significant than ourselves, thinking about others more often than we think about ourselves. Low self-esteem is not a good thing. It's not humility, and it's actually harmful. And I also think that it is disrespectful to God to look at the ways and the things and all these different things, all these different spaces that God has talented or God has gifted you in and given you talents and developed you and created you as, and to look at those things and say, no, they don't exist, and degrade them because you think it's some sort of prestige or humility or some virtue. But it's not a virtue. It's actually a vice to who all you can become. Self-confidence is really important. I think it's really important to personhood. I think it's really important to health, and I think it's really important for us to become the fullness of who God intends for us to be. I know personally in my life that culture has told me for a long time as a black man that I should hate myself. As a black man who most of my life grew up in a lower class society in terms of economic structure, culture told me that I wasn't worth a whole lot. Culture creates a European beauty standard, that Eurocentric white features are the standards of beauty in the world. And these are things that as a kid made me hate my skin color at times, made me hate my features, my nose, my ears, my lips. All of these different things often made me hate my social status, made me hate my personhood, made me struggle with those things pretty immensely. And growing in self-confidence in myself has been absolutely crucial for me to come from a space that I've had all these things onslaughted towards me to say, no, like God made me the way that God wanted to make me, and press into those things and maximize who I am amidst those spaces. And so for me, I began to speak self-confidence, began to speak life over myself, because I think death and life are in the power of the tongue. You can look at different videos and studies and all sorts of things. If you speak bad things over a plant, and speak good things over another plant, the plant that you speak bad things over is gonna die. You can give them the same amount of water, same amount of nutrients, all those things, but that one's growth is gonna be stunted. But the other one will grow better. Because words are powerful, people. They just are. And so for me, I spoke life over myself, not in the sense that I'm going to physically die, although speaking bad things over people, bullying, all those things could lead to someone's physical death. But I spoke life over myself, things that were life-giving, growing, things that would help me be the best me that I could be and could be, will be, all of those things. And so I spoke life over myself to grow myself in, recognizing the ways and all the dope, nature that God has placed in me, God has placed over me, and made me to be. Now, let's be real. Self-absorption is also not the same thing as self-confidence. Someone could align those things together. Arrogance is not being self-confidence. Arrogance is actually this concept of superiority that expresses itself, like it's superiority over others, and expresses itself in overbearing over others, oppressing others, standing up top of others, that you are the top dog and that you don't care about others, needs, all these different things, and you flex that superiority. And this is harmful. This distorts your perspective on the world. It makes the world look like it's all about you. It's narcissism. It's not what is intended to be. This is how we see people do things. Like Donald Trump's legacy is covered in narcissism and self-absorption. Or Nero or Caesar. These people were very fixed upon what they wanted, who they were, and elevating their namesakes. I mean, Caesar called himself the King of Kings, called himself the Lord of Lords. Caesar was like, it's me and that's it. And so we got to think about those things too, that those things do not coincide, and that this stuff is harmful to be self-absorbed, and this also is harmful to others because you can't lead that way. You can't lead from a space of being self-absorbed because you're not looking at the needs of others and how to elevate their voices and do what's best for them. You look out for what's best for yourself. So we got to cut those things out of the equation as well. I know for me, I'm a really self-confident person at this point, and people have often assumed that I was self-absorbed. Even from the basis of how I dress, people have thought that I was arrogant because I walk tall and I dress well, but I'm also really shy. And so people would assume the worst about me and think that I'm arrogant when I'm really just shy. People have assumed the worst about me when I talk about things like things that, I look good in this outfit, or, I'm really good at this thing or that thing. People have often, made comments and things like that kind of sit in the space that kind of push towards this concept of self-degradation as humility, which self-degradation is not humility at all. And it pushes into the space of low self-esteem. So self-degradation disguised as humility is just trash. It doesn't do anything good for us. It breeds self-hate, which can lead to a plethora of other things. It breeds low self-esteem. All these different things can lead to depression, anxiety, low views of ourselves, and just a lower quality of life. And it also can lead to not ever maximizing our potential of who God actually created us to be, because we are so hell-bent on making ourselves lesser in our own heads when God never intended for that to be a thing. So here's my thing for y'all. Like, don't let anyone teach you that humility is thinking less of who you are and how God made you. That's not accurate. That's not anything that's going to be helpful for you. It's actually going to stunt your potential. Don't believe that not accepting compliments from people is some mark of maturity or humility. It just straight up isn't. You need to acknowledge your strengths, but also acknowledge your weaknesses. Like for me, I know that I am a talented artist, a talented photographer, a talented filmmaker. I know that I'm stylish. I know that I am a gifted communicator. I know that I can lead people in certain ways pretty well. And at the same time, I also know that I am one hell of a procrastinator. I'm also someone who kind of sucks at making administrative tasks happen pretty fast. I'm also pretty shy when it comes to reaching out to people and different things like that. I know the spaces that I'm strong. I know that I'm intelligent or that I'm a gifted person, but I also know that I can't really draw that well. Although I'm an artist, I'm not really that great of a sketch artist, and that sometimes has drawbacks for me. But the thing that is beautiful about this, recognizing my strengths and recognizing my weaknesses, is that I can realize, okay, it's okay to have strengths and it's okay to have weaknesses. And then in the spaces that I'm weak, I can just get other people to come alongside me and elevate in those spaces where their strengths match up with my strengths. And now we've got a squad. Now we've got a team. Now we have, put people together to elevate others, to think about others and how we can win this thing together. Humility is to count others more significant than ourselves, like not to be absorbed in our strengths and not to be absorbed in our weaknesses, but to find balance amidst those things and build people up and bring them in the midst of the spaces where we're weak so that we can win together. We have to live and breathe and move and have our being in the space of the middle ground of that. The extreme either way is never going to be the way to do anything. It's always about finding a happy balance. So what do y'all think? What do y'all think about this concept of what true humility is? Let me know in the comments below. Like this video if it did anything to help you, spur thoughts, all that good stuff. Subscribe to this channel, share this video. Also make sure you hit that notification bell situation so you can get updates on when new videos drop. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Be easy. This is also my favorite face to make people.